This is a photo of me when I was kidnapped in 41. This was made in 43. And I was brought to this family in Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin that was murdered by her mother, Lina. The twins were both dead. Peggy, the one that I still have to use the name, and I'm British. I was kidnapped in London, England, and I'm the monarch, legal monarch. They brought me here, and this was a pigsty. There's no other word for it. They were dressed up here, and they didn't have cars, and you don't see the shack and the filth and the hatred and the abuse that happened in that place they put me to live. Okay, let me just get to the chase. I wanted to tell about the Watergate tapes again. And Henry Kissinger. This is me in high school, and this is that family, before I ever came there, a few years. This is Wallace Simpson that married the double. She never married my father. It was a takedown of King Edward VIII with character assassination and lies. The double was the one that engaged in antics and lies that would be unbecoming to my father. Not just unbecoming. When he became, well, I won't get into that. This is Diana, and this girl has a claim, something about a ring, etc., but she's a well-known attorney in Los Angeles. I can't get an attorney. Anyway, here's Elizabeth and her whole brood. And let me go over here to, I was writing about mind control before I found out about my kidnapping, and I found out that later, actually, the people who kidnapped me were the Illuminati, the Freemasons, whatever you want to call them. The global government's in place now. I got this because somebody, it was after I'd done the book and all that had happened to me, trying to get it published. Implantable biochips. I was talking about that being put in root canals, and this has been going on, oh God, back before I finished high school in 57. Goes back probably a lot further, but that's how they were doing it then. This is Timothy McVeigh that was put to death, and this is William. They put a chip in him in case he got kidnapped. Is that a joke? I'm the one that got kidnapped. And his grandmother and, grandmother and great-grandfather helped do it. Bunch of pack of thieves. And anyway, Timothy McVeigh said that they put a chip in him. The Army implanted it. And he's the one accused of blowing up the Murray building in Oklahoma City. This is the name of the book, Project Lucid, by Tex Mars, I believe, or Jim Mars. And he's actually talking about the Illuminati, the global government, and the end times here. But a lot of it made sense, and it does make you wonder, because I know I'm bouncing around here. All this, some of it came to be after they took down my father, Edward VIII, who was actually married, and I've put this up before, but I'm coming to something else here, if I can get there. He was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, who was Queen of England. And when I was born, Sir Winston Churchill burned the files on us. And they took down my father. And I'm beginning to wonder if he even abdicated, that was him that abdicated. I do know that there was an addendum to the abdication that was legal, and where it stated that if my father had an heir, it would not disinherit the heir. And the day that I was born Victoria II. And this is my uncle in 1939 with Roosevelt. And since I've put all this up, I'm not going to go through it again. He's planning my kidnapping with the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys. And he made himself king. Took his brother down, kidnapped his niece, and they all stood by, and looks like Elizabeth's having a jolly good time, isn't she? All of them, all the jewels they stole and money, and okay. And insult to the country, Anyway, Wallace Simpson never married my father. That was a lie. And this is a double acting behavior unbecoming, is that it? I just can't understand why the family went along with it. Now, I'm going to put this because Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was doing the book, March the 6th of 78. And if you want to call it the Manchurian Candidate, that's what I was writing about, mind control, remote controlling people, and programming them to do someone else's wishes. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a gun you program to shoot somebody or mass people with a gun shoot them. It can be, you can be made to commit suicide or appear to, like Robin Williams. And there's a list. But the weapons, mind control's weapons, and what it does is the use of it is unlimited. The person can put their car into the Tennessee River and drown, etc. Now, I'm skipping around. Let me turn this. I want to put this up because Henry Kissinger, and I meant to Google this and I didn't. I'm waiting for somebody and I'm in a rush and I suppose I shouldn't have done it that way when I'm in a hurry. Henry Kissinger was Secretary of State under Nixon and Secretary of Defense also while Nixon was in power. Watergate tapes happened, and I've got this date down because after I did the book in 79 about mind control, MD License to Kill, I tried to get it published. And I had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd of 79, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Okay, there's no way I can put all this in, but April Fool Day of 80, I'll go ahead and say it, I had antifreeze put in me, and I didn't know what it was. And I woke up the next morning, and I'd gone to a friend's house trusting her because so many things had happened to me, and woke up and I knew I'd been had. Later on, I'll go ahead and say it, police department up here in one of the nearby counties told me that how they did it. And I look back and I remembered it. Lois Pearson, by the way, she's married, lived in Marietta. Her boyfriend broke all the rules in the book and bought her homes and everything that was illegal. And that's what they got on her. So she was compromised, and she tried to kill me more than once, help them, the doctors. And there's a list of those. Gonzalez, Congressman Dr. McDonald, Larry McDonald. I could go on a list that got involved in it. This is, again, in 1980. April Fool Day, and he should have killed me. And what went on there, I wish and hope there's films that filmed it, because it's absolutely horrible. Paul Beecham is still a doctor, even though he's of age now. I looked him up, and Gonzalez is, and Gonzalez has a son that's a doctor, so they've lived pretty darn good. And I remember when I went to the emergency West Paces Ferry in 1980 to get a tox screen to see what was given to me and if it could be diluted, and because I was in bad shape. I was met by Dr. Chelton, who's a friend of Gonzalez's. Outstanding doctor, they would say. Wasn't even supposed to be there at that hospital. Anyway, it was hell what was done to me. A British lady saved my life. Let me say that. Anyway, I'm going to skip this. The tox screen was not done, and nothing was done. I ended up across the state line working for Fred Simpson, the district attorney in Huntsville, Alabama, Madison County district attorney. NASA, all that's located there in Marshall Space Flight Center. By the way, when I was kidnapped, they took down my father, George Marshall. That was named after the Space Center. Roosevelt, who appointed Kennedy, Joe Kennedy, ambassador to England. You've got Eisenhower, who was general. Eisenhower and then Truman. All these people have known about my kidnapping, known about Elizabeth. She's the, well, you could say, and that's who they are, the mafia-controlled monarchy now, unless they somehow get rid of her and give it back to the me, the real monarch. Now, I wanted to go back to, if I haven't lost everybody here, at Fred Simpson's, in the condition I was in, I was working there in 1980, and they played the Watergate tapes. It was role-playing, and they did other stuff there. I was meant to go there and how I lived through what I've just told you. And by the way, my ex-husband went into Huntsville and got where there was a tox screen done, and it came back from Georgia, which is kind of weird. It wasn't done there. You send it to the state where it's submitted. It should have come back from Montgomery, Alabama, and it didn't. It came back from Atlanta. And I've put all this up. The crime lab there even typed my book. So it gets into, but nobody's been arrested, charged. The media won't print it. Is a blackout on it because of who I am and what they've done to my dad and me and my kids and my country. So I want to get to back to Henry Kissinger. And I put this up here. They did a role-playing with the Watergate tapes. And I started to remember the Gap. And I started remembering Gonzalez took me to the trolley tracks. And I put all this up in College Park. He drugged me. I have the date here. I didn't know the date. I knew about the time. The date of the Watergate tapes, an 18-minute gap that was subpoenaed, was June the 20th, 1972. So that was Al Haig. Was it Al Haig? He was there, but I don't know if he had anything to do with what Kissinger did. He was on the 18-minute gap and a half-minute gap that was subpoenaed by Archibald Cox, and then Nixon, he was a special counsel, and then Nixon fired him. No way were they going to have this put to the general public in the Watergate hearings, so they deleted it. It was secretly taped by Nixon, his incoming conversations and phone calls. They had me on the table. Victor Gonzalez, had taken me there, drugged me, and I was helpless. I knew they were doing it, what they were doing to me and threatening to do, but I couldn't move. And since I put this up before, I'm not going to say anything else about it. They crossed the palms of Henry Kissinger and company, and I lived to die another day. They were going to lobotomize me. They had the 6 people with surgical masks right close. I mean, the hallway was right there. You could see them standing there with the masks on. And I thought if I could cry out, they would help me, because I didn't know. I wasn't in much condition to know anybody. I would have reached out for help. So that was another time back then. And Henry Kissinger, I've put this up too. His thing is that power and money is the ultimate aphrodisiac. He gets off on control. And he says here, you can Google some of this. I looked it up. Another thing he said, those who reject the New World Order are terrorists. Can you believe it? So anyway, I'm sure there was more that I wanted to put up, and I can't. The only thing I did want to put up again was with Kissinger, was with Diana. I don't know, it was 1995, but it was one of the charity where she was, I think it's the one where she was selling gowns. Well, you know whose money they've been using and still are, and the one they say they're going, royal family is going to pay for Meghan and Harry's wedding? That's my money, not hers. And anyway, Henry Kissinger said to, and I did see the picture, and my phone is full, and I can't switch it to, and put it on Facebook or get it drawn up from Google. But I found the picture of him with Diana when he said to her that, you should be queen. And he said that about the ultimate aphrodisiac is money. And, of course, money's power. I think he said money is power. But anyway, you can Google some of that. But what was it, on Watergate Complex in D.C. on June the 17th, 1972, was quoted as saying, we are okay. Powers there. I don't think that belonged together there. Actually, publicly, can't read my own shorthand. Excuse me, I try to laugh. Well, anyway, that was all I had to say about that. And I really don't know what's to become of it all. She can go on in the global governments in power, United Nations. And, it's up to somebody else to say if it's end times. I don't know, but some of it sure looks that way. And I wonder how Elizabeth, who is now got herself as representing the Church of England, feels when she walks into the church and says she believes in God. Well, and I know that there was more I was going to put up here. Right now I can't think of it, so I guess I'll just let this suffice for the moment.